Hello, Commissioner.
Right away, Commissioner.
Taylor!
What?
To the Batcave, Robin.
This is much better.
Definitely.
The year is 1966. LBJ wants to stay in South Vietnam. The Flintstones aired their series finale. Miranda vs. Arizona rules that police must tell you your rights. And in an interview, John Lennon states that the Beatles are bigger than Jesus. And in July, a cultural film bigger than Psycho, Lawrence in Arabia, and The Sound of Music combined was released. Batman the movie. Yes, you heard me right. And some may think, no. But dear viewer, let me explain. The Batman movie was the first ever film involving the character brought to life by the great Adam West. Now the character has seen his portrayal in live action for the first time back in 1943, played by Lewis Wilson. With this outing though, the character was drastically different. He was more memorable for his goofy nature and campiness. This era's Batman has been a cult classic ever since and has led to many other iterations by several fantastic artists. From Adam West to Ben Affleck, Batman has brought in an estimated total of $4,637,370,253.52. And so we come back around and see that the three movies mentioned before only racked in an estimated $3.1 billion.
From this moment on, none of you are safe.
Side note, The Sound of Music made $2 billion back in 1965. Holy shit! The production process of this film is a bit peculiar. Lots of misventures and lucky breaks. Over at East Coast ABC, the executive Yale Udoff was a Batman fan in his childhood and contacted ABC executives Harv Bennett and
Edgar J. Sharrick.
They were already considering developing a television series based on The Hero, a prime-time Batman series in the hip and fun style of Man from U.N.C.L.E. When negotiations between CBS and Graham stalled, DC Comics quickly reobtained rights and made a deal with ABC, who then farmed the rights out to 20th Century Fox to produce the series. In turn, 20th Century Fox gave the project over to William Dozer and his production company Greenway Productions.
Well, I had never heard of Batman. I never read comic books when I was a kid. My parents wouldn't allow me to. I had never seen a Batman comic book. Naturally, I didn't admit any of this. I said, well, let me think about it.
Dozer concluded that after reading several Batman comics for research, the only way to make the show work was to do a pop art campy comedy. Originally, espionage novelist Eric Ambler was approached to script a TV movie that would launch the television series, but he dropped out after learning of Dozer's campy comedy direction. The show's writer, Lorenzo Semple Jr., was then brought in to write the film. The film was originally intended to be aired before the series to help introduce the show to audiences. However, the series premiere was moved up, and the film was forced to wait until the summer hiatus after the first season aired. Production on the film began rapidly in order to get into theaters prior to the airing of Season 2. Fortunately for the production, the movie's budget increased due to the success of Season 1. This allowed producers to have some fun building the iconic Batboat and leasing what would become the famous Batcopter, both of which were then used in the second and third seasons of the TV show. When looking for an actor to play the titular character, two names were in the fray: Lyle Wagner and, of course, Adam West. Prior to the Batman show, Wagner had minor roles in films and TV shows.
Hello there.
After losing the role to Adam West, Lyle spent 7 years on the comedy variety show The Carol Burnett Show, and would then leave in 1974 in hopes of advancing his career as a leading actor. A year later, Wagner landed the role of Steve Trevor and Steve Trevor Jr. opposite Linda Carter for the series Wonder Woman.
No rank around here. Let's just make it Steve and Diana, all right?
Thank you, Steve.
Good.
Lyle would land subsequent roles throughout the 70s and 80s, usually cast as the hunk character in the shows like Charlie's Angels, Mork and Mindy, and The Golden Girls.
Oh, by the way, I'd like you to meet my mother, Sophia, Blanche, and this is Rose.
Yes, it's me, Lyle Waggoner. No autographs.
No problem. Mom.
Unfortunately, he has since passed on March 17th, 2020. Adam West got lucky and became a frontrunner of the part of Batman when Dozer had seen West in a Nesquik commercial.
I'd done a series of commercials for Nestle's Quick, in which I played a kind of a spoof on James Bond, a character called Captain Quick. And I didn't know this, curiously enough, for 2 or 3 years after we started filming Batman. They'd seen those, and that's why they wanted to see me, or they wanted me for the part.
Incidentally, one of those torpedoes you fired at me was circling, and you're sunk. Toodaloo! Thank you! Some people will do anything to get rich quick. Toodaloo.
I kid you not, Adam West can give credit to his most famous role to a chocolate milk commercial. With 2 actors prepped and ready to audition for Batman, it's time to also talk about the other half of the duo, Robin. 2 actors also made the shortlist for Robin, Burt Ward and Peter Dale. Burt Jervis Jr., or Burt Ward, auditioned for the part at the age of 19. At the time, he was selling real estate and did not have much acting experience. Being that Robin showed more of his face than Batman, it was very fortunate that Burt had prior experience with martial arts and physical activities. He was an athletic kid in high school and studied Taekwondo, making him prepared for any on-screen confrontation. With his background and enthusiasm, Burt Ward became their #1 contender.
But sure as heck the only decent thing to do.
Peter Dale, since the audition, has had more importance behind the screen than in front. The Brooklyn-born actor would become one of the founding members of the Film Foundation, a group dedicated to the preservation of historic films. He was joined with the likes of Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, and George Lucas.
What are you doing, George? Steven, give me that print, George. We need to make the alterations.
All 4 actors were brought on set and 2 screen tests were filmed, one with Adam West and Burt Ward, and the other with Lyle Waggoner and Peter Dale.
I've been through all my father's old law books, and I don't see we have a leg to stand on. My identity exposed. My value as a secret crime fighter ended. Well, everything I've trained myself for since my parents were murdered. In the ash can, gone up the chute. Oh, that's too terrible to face.
It's a dirty trick.
It's a dirty trick.
And when our good housekeeper, poor Mrs. Cooper, finds out what you've been doing on these supposed fishing trips of ours, I'm afraid the blow will kill her.
Look, between the lines, when is the time of a clock like the whistle of a train?
When it's 2 to 2. 2, 2, 2.
Right you are.
Holy caboose!
Upon review, the consensus was that Wagner and Dale performed their characters, but West and Ward brought with them timing and charisma.
You've done it, chum.
West and Ward would set themselves apart, win the lead roles, and as they say, the rest is history. A quick mention, during their time as Cape Crusaders, they crossed into all types of situations, but nothing beats the time when they fought with and against Bruce the Dragon Lee from the Green Hornet.
It's a good thing those guys are on our side, even though they don't know it.
It's a good thing those guys aren't in town every week.
The duo would return to their roles throughout the years. In Arrow vs. Crisis on Infinite Earths, many actors and actresses got to return as their character, like Tom Welling as Clark Kent, Kevin Conroy as the live-action Batman, and Burt Ward as the 1966 Robin.
Holy crimson skies of death!
Adam West would be seen making guest appearances and playing parody characters like Mermaid Man.
Sorry, Man Ray, but my stalwart companion Barnacle Boy and I beg to differ with you.
Catman on Fairly Odd Parents and himself on shows like Family Guy.
Excuse me, Mayor West?
How do you know my language?
And The Simpsons.
And I didn't need molded plastic to improve my physique. Pure West.
And how come Batman doesn't dance anymore? Remember the bat to see?
Nice meeting you. Just keep moving. Don't make eye contact.
The legacy left behind by Adam West and Burt Ward's portrayals of the heroes sent a shockwave through the future zeitgeist and have now become a staple and benchmark on over-the-top fun. Sadly, in 2017, Adam West passed away at the age of 88. His legacy eternal. His charm witty and above all, Gotham's true bright knight protector.
Is there hope?
There's always hope. You should know that, sir.
Instead of feeling down, we should celebrate their lives with Batman, the Bat movie. The film opens up with a dedication to all the crime fighters and lovers of weird things. So if you got a hot or misunderstood kink, this film is for you. Camera pans over to a random couple kissing, really driving home that love is a weird things message. The title opening is very colorful and goofy. The colored spotlight adds a feeling of a classic crime novel. Not to mention that Batman looks like he just got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. So here's some plot. There's a boat carrying some sort of important technology that's gone missing. Instinctively, the police commissioner calls Batman and Robin. They quickly jump into action, showing off what makes this Batman so iconic. So the duo arrive at the SS Houdini.
Drop bat ladder.
Batman bat climbs down the bat ladder, missing the boat and getting attacked by a wild shark. A press conference is called at GCPD. Peter asks Batman what happened to the shark that jumped him.
By that exploding shark. Doubtless an unfortunate animal who chanced to swallow a floating mine. I wouldn't worry about that either, Mr. Merrick.
We then see a Russian reporter with a really long name.
You there, Miss?
Comrade Katanya Irenia Tatanya Karenska Alisov.
Asking the duo to remove their masks.
Service?
If you please, to take off the mask to give the better picture.
Great Scott, Batman, take off his mask.
The woman must be mad.
A few moments later.
They get an update of all supervillains still at large via pre-recorded CCTV footage.
Status report. Known supercriminals not currently imprisoned.
The Penguin.
That pompous, waddling master of foul play, maestro of a million criminal umbrellas. The Joker.
Devilish clown prince of crime. Oh, if I only had a nickel for every time he's baffled us.
What, the Riddler loose, too?
So it seems. Loose to plague us with his criminal conundrums.
Gosh, and the Catwoman.
Pretty fishy what happened to me on that ladder.
You mean where there's a fish, there could be a penguin? But wait, it happened at sea. See? Sea for Catwoman.
Yet, that exploding shark was pulling my leg.
The Joker.
It all adds up to a sinister riddle.
Your skills of deduction are god.
Riddler?
We see the same Russian reporter arriving at a dingy bar in a dock. And surprise, it's actually Catwoman.
Ahoy, Catwoman!
Imbecile, how many times have I told you never use my real name in public?
How could this happen to me?
Our villains show us that they don't entirely get along.
Take away that ravenous panther.
So help me, Catwoman, I'll feed him to the birds. I'll incapacitate the beast with my trick confetti.
I find it really cute that they each have their own personal shelf, labeled and stylistically propped. But guess what? Batman and Robin were right. The villains kidnapped the yacht captain, keeping him in a Scooby-Doo type of illusion. Upon review, the Bat camera took a bat picture to find an illegal buoy out at sea.
Feed those figures into the navigational aid computer.
Roger.
Their bat suspicions were correct. A projector was found inside the buoy, creating the illusion of a boat. The JPRC, or Goon Squad for short, are a step ahead.
Kindly activate the remote control penguin magnet inside that buoy.
Yo-ho!
A torpedo was shot at the duo, but Batman, being Inspector Gadget, has a transmitter that blows it up.
Send out waves of super energy.
But not a second later,
He must be using a super energy reverse polarizer.
they send a runner-up torpedo and it explodes as well. So it turns out that a dolphin swam by and took that last missile for them.
Nobility of the almost human porpoise.
In the arms of the angel.
Batman tries to get to the bottom of this plot by chasing leads, the bureaucratic way.
Please give me the Pentagon in Washington. Navy Department.
Oops, too bad.
Admiral Fangschleister's office.
Hello. Batman speaking.
Oh, hello.
Who is it?
Batman.
It turns out that the Navy general sold torpedoes to a
P. N. Gwyn.
P. N. Gwyn.
The Penguin.
No shit.
Later, in the villain's hideout.
The Riddler shoots out a water-to-air rocket, writing a perfectly written riddle in the sky.
Look, it's written something.
The answer to his riddles make no damn sense.
What does a turkey do when he flies upside down?
He gobbles up.
Of course.
And number 2.
What weighs 6 ounces, sits in a tree, and is very dangerous? A sparrow with a machine gun.
Yes, of course. Penguin, Joker, Riddler, and Catwoman, too. We've been given the plainest warning. They're working together to take over.
To take over what, Batman? Gotham City?
Any 2 of them might try that.
The whole country?
If it were 3 of them, I would say yes. But 4, their minimum objective must be the entire world.
So it turns out that the Goon Squad are after the UN Security Council. They plan to use them to keep the world hostage. But first, they have to take care of Batman and Robin. And their plan? Well, it's quite simple.
We shall spring them from the Joker's Jack in the Box through that window, out over the sea, and into the waiting arms of the Penguin's exploding octopus. The trigger, one of my riddles, of course. And the bait, you.
To start things up, Catwoman seduces Gotham's Bachelor with her Falcon 9 rocket boobs. Kid Kid gives Bruce the riddle, but Bruce is like, fuck it, I'm trying to get in your Kremlin.
Nevertheless, shall we give this matter further consideration over dinner tonight?
After planning on getting his hot dog sauced, Batman joins Robin in deciphering Kitka's found riddle.
1. What has yellow skin and writes?
A ballpoint banana.
Right. 2. What people are always in a hurry?
Russian people? Russians.
Right again.
I've got it. Someone Russian is gonna slip on a banana peel and break their neck.
Precisely, Robin.
He breaks down both riddles, and I think that I'm just dumb and don't get it. Because how does he make these leaps of logic? Like holy Deus Ex Machina, Batman. Bruce takes Kitka to the hippest heroin joint in town. He tries to work his saucy charisma, but the Boy Scout just can't watch. It's too PG-13 for him.
I don't think it's right for us to listen into this, Alfred. I mean, some things have to be private, even for a crime fighter.
Commissioner.
Yes?
How did you not hear that?
Yes, Boy Wonder. I've just thought of a clever ruse, Commissioner. Send Chief O'Hara up to the roof and have him flash the bat signal.
Well, certainly if you say so, Boy Wonder, but why?
When the crooks see it, they'll figure Batman and I are racing to headquarters. Thinking we're out of the way might make them play into our hands with an immediate strike at Miss Kitka.
Clever. Devilishly clever.
Thank you, sir. Batmobile over and out.
Right. Chief O'Hara.
Yes.
Dash to the roof. Flash the bat signal.
Yes, sir.
Shades of Smolensk, what is that?
Incredible, I don't. Of course.
Bruce immediately understands the situation and plays it off. But then you got Kitka over here dropping cat puns left and right.
How perfectly wonderful of you.
Macbeth, Macbeth, wherefore art thou, Macbeth, my greatest love?
With her prey in her clutches, she calls upon the Goon Squad.
Finks, Morgan, Bruin, Quetch. Break out the jetpack umbrellas.
Yo ho ho, sir.
Mwah!
Per the plan, Robin and Alfred wait right outside. And like I've said before in my previous video, there is no hiding, no secrecy. Just Alfred and Robin get a live feed into Bruce's intimacy. Less tone. Alfred's over here chilling, doing his job, making sure that his boy is safe. Robin, on the other hand, tweaks and turns off the feed. Alfred checks him. He's like,
"Is that prudent, Master Robin? Our instructions were to keep watch."
I don't know about prudent, Alfred, but it's sure as heck the only decent thing to do.
Whimsically overhead, our goon squad arrive on flying umbrellas. Back inside, things are about to get steamy. But the villains arrive and super cockblock.
Joke's on you!
Bruce Wayne puts up a good fight, but to no avail. He and Kit-Kat get taken away on a never-ending acid trip. Bruce is gone, and Robin watches as they take away his trust fund. Over at the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, the villains are arguing like frustrated children over why their #1 Bat fan hasn't arrived yet.
Of course I did. I can't understand why Batman hasn't dashed into our track.
I feel like if they were smart, they'd take advantage of the fact that Batman hasn't showed up yet. Or rob a bank or something. I don't know. Bruce is taken over to see Kit-Kat.
2 minutes, no more.
He almost has a Freudian slip, but saves it with a possible excuse.
Up my left sleeve, I have a tiny radio transmitter strapped above my elbow.
What a curious device to carry.
Not at all, Miss Kitka. Capitalists like myself who carry large sums of money often have such safety contrivances.
The squad try to intimidate Batman, and I kid you not, he calls the Riddler a stupid fuck.
You think you're pretty clever, don't you, Mr. Wayne?
Clever enough to outwit you, you stupid thug. Clever enough to outwit you, you stupid thug. Stupid thug.
I bet you didn't see this coming, but yeah, another sprawl breaks out. With the escape of their MVP, the Goon Squad makes moves to ditch the old clubhouse. After the back and forth, we are finally let in on the super important technology that started this plot to begin with.
Yo-ho, sir! And now I find fishy finks. You see here, Commodore Schmidlap's pièce to no resistance. An instant whiskey maker. Waiting for us to put it to more universal use. Now, don't be afraid. You will feel nothing. Now, I am merely going to temporarily extract every bit of moisture from your body. It's a painless operation.
After being stood up, the Penguin decides to formulate an outlandish plan to get Batman. Try to follow along here. Penguin will dress up as the boat captain, fingerprint and eye verification ready.
Holy costume party, that's the Penguin.
Obviously.
He will willingly be brought to the Batcave where the goons will be rehydrated. Somehow they will win, and Batman is out of the picture. That's it. That's what they plan to do. Batman and Robin arrive at the clubhouse and are greeted by a rather large bomb with an insanely long fuse. Batman scrambles to get rid of this cartoon of a bomb and runs into all types of people on what was a dock full of thugs and criminals not too long ago. We've got nuns, a lady showing her baby the sights, a band. He runs into the same group as if they're fucking with him. He finally gets a chance and passes the bomb off to his boy Aquaman. One plan later, the Penguin gets to the part where he's snuck into the Batcave. He hydrates his goons and a fight breaks out, but unbeknownst to him, the Penguin uses heavy water instead of light water. When struck, the goons just pop like bubbles. Turns out they become antimatter if you're wondering if they're dead. A quick science lesson. I thought heavy water was bullshit, but it's an actual thing. It's used with nuclear reactors and it's very undrinkable. Makes sense why they pop. With his plan in anti-material shambles, the Penguin makes for his escape, Batman keeps up the ruse.
It's clear that I've done you a cruel injustice.
So it turns out Batman has a counter plan. Are you ready for this? He deliberately gets knocked out by the Penguin so that the Penguin can steal the Batmobile, to then recover on the spot with anti-Penguin gas pills, to then have a conveniently placed Batcycle and sidecar so that he could ride over to the airport so that he could use the Batcopter to track the Batmobile that the Penguin stole in the first place.
Batscanner tracking the stolen Batmobile perfectly.
The Goon Squad is now in the Penguin sub. Riddler can't help his addiction and fires off some more Riddle missiles. One smacks right into them, sending them careening into a heavily populated and surprisingly calm crowd. You ready for more riddles?
What goes up white and comes down yellow and white?
An egg!
How do you divide 17 apples among 16 people?
Make applesauce!
Apples into applesauce. A unification into one smooth mixture. An egg.
Nature's perfect container. The container of all our hopes for the future.
A unification and a container of hope? United World Organization!
Precisely, Robin.
They bat run in front of their back green screen to the UN to stop World War III. While successfully and easily sneaking into the UN, 4 psychiatric patients stand and watch as world ambassadors argue over what I think to be plans for lunch.
No solamente en Europa. Pour votre attitude belligérante. À cause. Man public.
Gentlemen, it is the considered opinion of Her Majesty's government that we pursue peace at all costs.
Gentlemen, my country understands your position, but in the interest of peace, we must pursue this policy. We realize that you want peace as well. The USSR. Everything in our possible power.
Unaware of the imminent threat, they all become color-coded pixie stick candy. The dynamic duo have now failed twice at getting ahead of the villains. Where did that precognition go, Batman? Hot on the heels to kick some ass, the villains shoot dollar store torpedoes at the boat. But it ain't no sweat. Batman and Robin blow them right out the water. Armed with the power of radio waves, I think, the sub is forced up to the surface. Look at how balanced those vials are, what the fuck? We begin to approach the beginning of the end. With the world in the balance, the final battle between good and evil will begin.
Avengers!
Assemble.
We can see what can be summed up as a bunch of rich people having quite a time. If not that, Batman and Robin beating the criminally insane to a BAM and POW pulp. With most of the squad captured, Batman chases after a little bit of learning the shocking truth. She's actually Kitka.
I knew it.
He thinks back to the good old days of when there was a Cuban Missile Crisis in his pants.
Quite astonishing.
Keep your eyes closed. Continue with this drill.
But remembers to keep things professional.
Nothing. Snap on the bat cuffs.
With Catwoman caught as well, the final boss reveals himself. As you could see, moments before disaster, the Captain grabs the vials, slams them on the table, and blows the dust away. But don't worry, says the screenwriter. Batman has just the thing for this. Before getting down to business, Robin asks Batman a thoughtful question.
All right, now. I'll activate the computer link, feed in the various ethnic and national factors.
Batman, wait a minute.
What?
Well, with the way the world is and all, don't you think maybe we ought to try to improve those factors? Kind of reshuffle them a little?
No, Robin. No. It's not for mortals like us to tamper with the laws of nature. Indeed, in this very Batcave, you saw a ghastly example of what happens when one tries to do that.
Gosh, yes, Batman.
They successfully get the pixie sticks back together again. The world anxiously listens as Batman and Robin rehydrate the council. The ambassadors are back and still arguing about lunch, but something seems a little off. Yep, while spending time as colored cocaine, they somehow blended minds and traded languages. It speaks volumes on peace and getting along, but must be horrible if your memories are someone else's. That yacht captain had plans of unification. We didn't know about it. On the surface, Batman 1966 is a wild and whimsical time. It could be easily written off as something silly for children, loves of crime fighters, and of weird things. But there's a deeper subtext to this film. You see, the film's secret identity is its parodies and jabs on the Cold War. Quite a many references were made to the then ongoing conflicts during the 60s, like the repeated use of the Polaris rocket, a submarine-launched ballistic missile. Not even the Pentagon or UN Security Council were safe from being parodied as we saw before. As for aspects of the movie, everything worked in its own unique way. The acting had the right amount of campiness.
Gosh, yes, Batman.
Sets were nicely designed, and the writing, well, the writing is so goofy that it's either going to make you laugh or completely irritate you.
Someone Russian is gonna slip on a banana peel and break their neck.
Precisely, Robin.
There is no in-between. And with that, I will be giving this movie a 6 out of 10.